So I'll start with a friendly greeting of everybody who has arrived from the waiting room and would like to welcome you to our first Charla of this semester. Looking forward to a great and diverse set of Charla presentations in the course of the fall semester. I'm Jadwiga Pieper-Muni, interim director, because Marcela Vasquez is on leave for one semester. So most of all, I'm happy to greet and welcome our opening presentation, Dr. Mary-Belle Cruz Ayala. I'll start with congratulations to a recent doctorate. Dr. Mary-Belle Cruz has completed her PhD in arid lands resource sciences and is one of us here at the University of Arizona. Long familiar through her work to LAS, a Tinker recipient, and someone who has long worked on projects with a focus on the environment, on fisheries, on biodiversity, biosecurity, and on water. So welcome, Mary-Belle, and I am looking forward to your presentation titled An Overview of Managed Aquifer Research Projects in Mexico. So I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you for this invitation, and I'm really happy to present my work here at this forum because I really enjoy the people who usually attending this type of charlas. The last time I was talking before about the really nice public that we have with Dr. Wilder when we present something also about Mexico and human right to water. So I'm kind of familiar and I'm really happy to be here again. So thank you. So I'm gonna share my screen. I hope that everyone can see if there is something that you, okay. I hope that everything is looking good. So first, my name is Mary-Belle Cruz Ayala, and I'm recent got my degree from here, from the Arid Land Resources Science program. And today I will present part of the research I conduct in Mexico about groundwater, and especially how can we increase the water recharge in Mexico. So I'm coming from a region that is arid and semi-arid, like here, like in the Sonora Desert. I'm coming from La Paz, from Baja California Sur, and it is one of the most arid states in Mexico. We are receiving around 250 millimeters per year, so less than here, Tucson. And that's one of the reasons that I'm here trying to learn, the idea to learn about how can we increase groundwater recharge in Mexico. Not only because it's a problem with the pipelines, all the engineering, but also because it's a problem that is affecting the urban and rural communities in Mexico. So that was the main reason, and I'm here, and that was the main reason that I decided to focus my research on groundwater. But first, I'll be talking about aquifer, and maybe you are familiar with this word and what does it mean and what is an aquifer, but just as an example to understand what is an aquifer. Usually when you think about an aquifer, we think like a big pool underground, but it's not something like that. Just I got this good representation of what about an aquifer. And just I want to draw your attention, I hope you can see my cursor, that is the aquifer is not like the swimming pool that you can imagine underground. It is the water that we can store on in these aquifers and these geological formations are small pieces like stones, and the water can go in the middle of these stones, just like here in this cursor is, I hope you can see the water we can store is in the middle of these stones. Yeah, and why groundwater is important for us in general has been identified that we are depending on groundwater because groundwater provides us around 50% of water we are using for drinking. Overall, maybe in some states in the US there are higher percentage, in other states is lower, but in overall global perspective, we are depending at least with 50% of the water we are using is groundwater. But also around 43% of the water we are using is for irrigation is groundwater. But in addition to that, the groundwater is important for us because the groundwater sustains rivers, riparian ecosystems, and other related important ecosystems. And we have to think also about the groundwater. But maybe you are familiar with, but it's something that is on the conversation overall, that we are not plenty of water overall. But that's one of the main issues that we are going to be facing in the future. But also now we are facing a really complex problems about water, not only in the US, as you can see here in this map. This is one of the approaches that I found that is like interesting to present how in the future we're gonna be facing the water scarcity. And just drawing your attention to this place that is Mexico, and it's gonna be facing water stress. Yeah, there's a blue color, light blue color. This is one of in the Latin America is going to be one of the places with the higher water scarcity beyond this other also countries in South America and also in Central America. So that is one of the reasons that I'm using to understand, to draw attention about this topic. In addition to that, the other problem is how much water has been recharging and what is the rate for this groundwater has been recharged. And again, just in this region, this is northern part of Mexico, the groundwater recharge, you can see here the scale that is down. The blue color, you can see here that this region, the northern part of Mexico, has one of the lower groundwater recharge rates. So that is other condition that I'm thinking about how can we face this problem. Just this is to have an idea why I'm interested to understand how can we increase water recharge or groundwater recharge into the aquifers in Mexico. This is La Paz. This is in Baja California Sur, and as I said before, groundwater, we are depending on groundwater, especially in the Baja California Peninsula, because we don't have water, other sources of water to provide for human consumption and also for agricultural activities. But also now all these new activities, the big resorts, we need water for these new activities. But why we are needing more water? Why we are using more water? Are we? So some of the elements that are affecting the groundwater demand is because we are more people. So the population has been growing, and also we have been urbanizing several areas, and the economy has been rising, and also because of all these agricultural activities. But also the other problem is there is an element we have to take into account is climate change. We know that now these new conditions are affecting us, but also in the future, we don't have all the elements to understand what is going to happen with groundwater. And we're going to need more water because we are growing as a population. And also this is other scheme that I want to present about this groundwater depletion in the future. This is the current groundwater depletion. How can we have a really low rate for groundwater recharge? But in addition, there is groundwater. We are extracting more water than the natural it has been recharging every year. And also here, you can see here in North America and also this part of Mexico, northern part of Mexico and central part of Mexico. This is the areas we are having more the groundwater depletion, one of the highest rates. And also this in the future has been estimated, that is as I mentioned before, also the northern part of Mexico is going to be affected by this groundwater depletion. But what is happening in Mexico? This is like the big picture that I want to present you. That is, I've been focusing on Mexico, but you can see also, you were able to see in other countries that is kind of the similar conditions. But what is happening in Mexico? In this map, you can see this is Mexico, and this map was created with the information from the National Water Commission, CONAGUA. And all these little pieces are aquifers. As I mentioned before, these are like geological formations that are similar. So all the green colors are aquifers where we can keep extracting groundwater. That means that we have availability. And the red colors are aquifers without availability. That means that we are in the green colors, we are having enough water to maintain this pumping rate. And here is Sonora, and this is one of the states with the higher number of the aquifers without availability. And also the Baja California Peninsula here, and here is La Paz, this is Baja California Sur. And also it is affecting with it because we don't have enough water, groundwater. And the central part of Mexico, also, this are the regions without water availability. But also, in addition to the problem with the groundwater and the without availability, we are facing other problems because we are extracting more water. The aquifers that are really close to the coastal area, these aquifers have been affected because this soil, the seawater intrusion. So we will not able to use this water because the salt concentration of these elements, new elements, we are affecting. We cannot use the water for human consumption. Also for agricultural activities. So, but what is happening with how are we using the water in Mexico, and how much water has been dedicated for different activities? You can see overall the agriculture is the main user. It's like in many other countries. Overall, around 75%. 76% of the water is dedicated to agriculture, and 15% for domestic, for human consumption and potable systems and all the municipal activities. And the industry is using around 9% of the water. And regarding to the access that the people has access to water, potable water has been estimated that around 97% has at home that the people have at home ready to get water, potable water. but it's something that the people have all the infrastructure, have access to the infrastructure, but that it doesn't mean that the people really get water at home. And around 50% of the wastewater is being treated. These days, all this information is from 2016, and I found other data most recent. It is around 5% has been increasing from 2016 to the last year. However, we have an addition other data, and as I said before, if people on the homes, they have all the infrastructure and they have access to potable water. However, the water that is coming every day change depending on the city that you are located, and it has been estimated that around 33% of the population has no access to potable water daily. That means that you can have water twice in a week, maybe 3 times in a week, or maybe once in a week. And you have, I'm sure that you are familiar with these big tanks, tinacos, that every house has at home, because you have to keep water, to store water, because maybe you're going to have water just once in a week. But this problem is higher with in rural communities, because has been estimated based on information that has been published, that is around only 36% of the people in rural communities are receiving water every day. They have access to water, they have the tap, but the water is not coming from the tap every day. So considering this, so as I say, this is something was coming, I was watching every day in my community, in the place where I live. How can we increase, how can we restore aquifers? What are the options to reduce the water we are extracting every day? There are several options. You are familiar maybe with desalination, for example, in California, in Florida, and even in Texas, this is very common, desalination. And also in Mexico, in the northwest part, in Sonora and Baja California, has been increasing the number of facilities for desalination, but you know, this is really expensive method to get the water, and also all the environmental impacts that this method can have. So the other way is using less water for agriculture. I presented the data is around 75% of the water we are using in Mexico is dedicated to agriculture. So we can be more efficient using water. But also water recycling. If, for example, an industry it doesn't need water that is really high quality, can use this water that is coming from the wastewater treatment plant and can be dedicated for other activities. And the other one is managed aquifer recharge, and that is the topic that I'm approaching in my research. What is managed aquifer recharge? I present at the beginning of this presentation this picture of this representation of what is an aquifer. Managed aquifer recharge is focusing on getting water when you have enough water, where we have plenty of water. For example, during the summer, we can keep this water and we can create specific facilities, models to maintain this water underground, and we can use that water in the future. That is overall the definition of managed aquifer recharge. And in this method, there are several methods that can be considered like a managed aquifer recharge. In some of the objectives is to increase natural storage, improve water quality, prevent water intrusion, and also to provide ecosystem services. prevent saltwater intrusion. In California, there are several examples that are using managed aquifer recharge to prevent saltwater intrusion. That is something that, for example, in Mexico, we can learn about these experiences. What I've been doing in this research, the first part was focused on understanding what was happening in Mexico about managed aquifer recharge, or MAR. And I was doing several revisions about looking for information about some of the projects or papers had been published in journals and about the MAR in Mexico. And the next part was I conduct a review of the Mexican legal framework that is focusing on MAR and to understand how this legal framework is helping or has all the elements to enhance the MAR. And also I interview people in Mexico who have been working on MAR, decision makers, federal, state, and local level, and also people, researchers have been working on the MAR, and NGOs, and also consultants. And just to understand about the legal framework of water in Mexico. The main law in Mexico is the political constitution, and based on this political constitution, we have the law of the national water, Ley General del Agua, and we have two main authorities who are in charge of the water management in Mexico. One is CONAGUA, the National Water Commission, and at local level we have the municipalities. And main municipalities are the ones who are in charge to provide potable water and also to maintain the wastewater treatment plants. And also as an additional technical advisors to CONAGUA, having some role related to water management, is the groundwater technical committees and the basin councils. Just to have, you can have an idea about how the legal framework is related to water. So first, I found there are at least in 9 states in Mexico, I found MAR examples that have been operating. In other cases they are no longer operating, but they have an idea, or they have people that have been working with MAR facilities. And also specifically, I found 3 types of MAR projects in Mexico. The first is like the projects that the researchers have created, some models they have been proposed to the federal or state or municipal authorities, but that they are now have been transformed in a pilot project. And also I found pilot projects like a really small scale facilities that they can have a model, they can have a well, where they can keep monitoring how the MAR or the water recharge is working. And finally, the third one is the ones who are working, they currently are working, or they have been working they were working for some time and now no longer. But this is really real facilities and they are in place. They were in place or they are in place. So what are the main objectives of these facilities? The main objective, as you can see here in this chart, is to replenish aquifers. It had been the main idea to create MAR facilities or MAR proposals. And just I want to point it out, the other good example, the how can MAR has been created is to provide environmental services. And that is something important to point it out, because usually we are thinking we need more water as a humans, but also it is important to take into account how can we use this type of method, these several methods to increase water for environmental services. And later, considering that I found all these cases in these 9 states in Mexico, later I went to identify what are the places where MAR facilities are really working or how they are still operating right now. And I found 3 places. One is in Sonora, San Luis Rio, Colorado. San Luis Rio, Colorado is a town next to the border, next to Yuma in Arizona, really close to Yuma. And the other one is in Chihuahua. It's in northern part of Mexico. And the other is in Mexico City, in a really big town. Is Iztapalapa. This is one of the more populated towns in Mexico City. And I interview people in these 3 places, and I say before people, they are water managers, federal, state, and local water managers, people from academia, and also NGOs and consultants that are working with other authorities regarding to MAR or groundwater. Interesting, I found that it's a really strong relationship between municipal water managers and researchers, and they are worried about recharge. This is in Spanish. I hope you can about how often they were mentioning the importance of increased recharge, recarga. This is something that was coming almost every conversation about the need to increase recharge. And the other thing I want to draw your attention is Conagua, that's the main water agency. And it was more related to the absence that Conagua usually has regarding to increase water recharge. There is not a positive way, more like a negative way. To some degree, that is, Conagua is not usually talking about how can we increase water recharge. And the other thing was telling the interviews is the municipios, the municipalities, and the role they can have to increase water recharge, but the need that they have currently regarding groundwater. This is one of the places that I visit. This is in San Luis Rio, Colorado, and they are using treated wastewater, using a method like basins. The wastewater that is coming is a good quality, and the water is placed on these big basins, and the water is infiltrated to recharge the water, the aquifer. And now this is one of the most successful examples. Why? Because they have been working for several years, like 12 years. That is, in Mexico, it's really weird because usually when we have in a municipal level, every 3 years, there is a new people in office, and usually this project can keep, they are stopping. So in this case, this project had been working for at least 12 years, and they are having a really good rate of water recharge. They are replenishing to some degree the aquifer in this region that has been overdraft. This is the other view from this same place in San Luis Rio, Colorado. But now the basins are empty. And this is the other place, and I visit also. This is in Chihuahua. They are using storm water. And the main water manager for this project is the municipality, that's the same case in Sonora. And what did I find in this these interviews and the review that I did for this project, for this research? I found that beyond the technical problems that the municipalities are facing regarding MAR and water recharge facilities. The main problem is related to the legal framework and the guidelines that there are current in place in Mexico for water recharge. I'm gonna just mention some of the problems regarding to the legal framework. For now, there is no procedure, there are no guidelines regarding to how can you get a permit for water recharge. For example, you are interested to build this water recharge facility, and you can ask, you can check on the law, and the law doesn't say anything about how can you get a permit for this. So that is something that you have to go in deep and ask to the authorities, but it's not clear how can you get a permit. That is something that is not good for drawing more attention about this. And also after the water, I mentioned before, the main law is the law of the national water, the Ley de Aguas Nacionales. And also the law doesn't say anything about the water that has been recharged using a method like this, like a managed aquifer recharge, how this water, this new water or additional water, how this water is gonna be allocated. That is something also that is affecting the not having more MAR facilities. Because if you are using, for example, a municipality is spending money to maintaining these facilities and is recharging the water, like in San Luis, Colorado, maybe in the future, other people from farmers or mining companies can ask to get more water because they know they are recharging water. So they know that municipality are recharging water, so they can ask for this water. And the CONAGUA can decide, oh, okay, I'm gonna allocate more water for this new company. So this is something that is affecting the idea to create more MAR facilities. And also there is no reference regarding how much water that you are recharging can you extract in the future. So like here in Arizona, there is very clear how much water we are maintaining a facility or who are doing a water recharge project. It is really clear how much water you can extract in the future. That's not the water that you're charging. So this is some of the main topics that we're talking about. And as part of the interviews that I did was in order to get some proposals to improve the legal framework. I found there are gaps, there are problems. So I asked to the people, what are the ideas? What are the proposals? You are the ones who are operating these MAR facilities. How the legal framework or the policies can be improved based in your experience. So here are some of the proposals that I got from the people that I interviewed. There is a need to improve the legal framework, and one of the proposals is to increase the investment from the National Water Agency, from CONAGUA, to increase MAR facilities. Why? Because the water in Mexico cannot be a private, cannot be a commodity. So all the water that's a public good. So we need more support. The people that I interviewed, they say we need more support from the federal government to maintain these facilities. And also, if you are users and people who have been investing in this type of facilities, they are the ones who should be entitled from the water they are recharging, or at least part of the water they have been recharging. And also the municipalities, every time they are extracting groundwater, they are pumping groundwater, they have to pay to the federal government for this groundwater they are extracting. So the other proposal is, if you are recharging groundwater, they are proposing to reduce the water fees they have to pay for the extracting the groundwater. And also create a program to transfer water rights. For example, if you are deciding, your municipality that decide, I'm gonna use just 80% of the water that I'm recharging. The other 20% or 50% or 10%, whatever percent, can be transferred for environmental services, and they can keep the water underground. And also, like here in Arizona and also in Colorado, create a groundwater banking in order to guarantee that you can keep the water underground, and you can keep like a credit for maybe this year you don't need the water you are recharging, and then this water you can use this water in the future, like a bank account. Sorry, there are some of the conclusions from this research. It is important for water-stressed countries like Mexico contemplate MAR as an option to increase water availability. MAR is not a panacea to solve all the problems regarding groundwater and groundwater availability in Mexico, but this is one of the options and can be successful. It can be something that the national water policy can have in place. And beyond of the technical issues of the problems that people that are operating these facilities, the regulatory framework is a barrier to increase MAR facilities. There are not incentives, and the way the policies that can help can draw attention about using the MAR as an option to increase water recharge. And also, we need a better, different policies and guidelines to get all the benefits that MAR can provide. And also this MAR should be an initiative between federal, state, and municipal governments, because as I presented in this research, mainly today, all the projects and facilities that have working today and operating today, they are the people who are in charge of these facilities are municipal agencies. So also they have been a very limited financial support from the federal government. So they need financial and technical assistance from the federal law. So especially from CONAGUA. And sorry, I don't know how this works. Overlapping here. The law of the national water should be amended to incorporate specific guidelines for MAR. And also the treated wastewater, like in San Luis, Colorado, as I mentioned, that can be used for maintaining agricultural activities, but also to create or improve MAR facilities. However, the legal framework also, it is a problem with reusing this water. And San Luis, Colorado is a good example that MAR facilities are helping to recover this water deficit in arid regions in Mexico. The need to amend the law to define water rights and allocation. What are the mechanisms for defining this new water rights? And also, as I present, if 75% of the water that we are extracting in Mexico is dedicated to agriculture, farmers are key actors to recover aquifers. So they are key players they have to take into account when creating national water policy. And also I found that NGOs are playing an important role for MAR facilities. They have been working as a bridge between water managers at local level and also with the researchers. They have been helping to communicate information from academia. So that's all that I have. So, thank you. And you have questions, comments?
Great, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Mary-Belle. I am, well, thank you for this intriguing talk. We have 15, 18, almost 20 minutes for questions, comments, observations, and I'm happy to take questions. It could be great, Mary-Belle, if you close your screen so that I can see people. And if you would, please just raise your whatever yellow little hand that we have on our black squares. Questions, comments, observations.
We also invite you to turn on your cameras now if you like for discussion.
I guess I have a question.
Please.
Mary-Belle, you talked a little bit about the effectiveness of Aquifer Recharge. How is this coming from the reports from the interviews, or was this from data and measurements? I'm sorry if I missed that.
It is coming from interviews, and I got some from data. From the literature review I conduct, but most of the proposals that I present about MAR, they are coming from people that I interview, mainly from the municipal water managers who are in charge of these facilities.
Okay, thank you. Is any of that data, do you know if those agencies make some of that data public at all?
About the facilities, how they are working?
No, just more related to the aquifer recharge rates.
Yeah, just in the case of San Luis, Colorado, they have been published this data. Yeah, they are recharging around 8.3 million cubic meters every year.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. We have a little question about the cameras that people can turn on. I wonder.
I've given permission now.
I think it's resolved already. Yeah.
It's resolved. Okay. I tried to, permit everything I could possibly permit, and here you are, free to do what you like. So Mary-Belle, I am very intrigued by your last comments, the solutions, the things that we can learn in order to create changes. And I was hesitant to start with the questions on NGOs, because that's not really the focus of your work. But, since you mentioned it, maybe you can give us a bit more context on how NGOs are a bridge in the story and what the role is.
Yes, sorry, I didn't present much about this, a lot of information about the people that I interview. Yeah, but some of the people that are working, especially in Sonora, there are people that have been working also in the Delta, the Colorado River, the Delta, and they have been providing to some degree some advice to the municipal government and keeping in contact with academia. For example, they have a problem with the basins, and they were in contact with the researchers that are working in Baja California, in the Universidad de Baja California. So they were able to connect with these people, but also they were providing information about the environmental value of this water recharge facility, and providing how much the value to some degree, and economic value, the financial value of the water they are recharging, and how they are helping to the ecosystem, increasing the water recharge. And in Chihuahua, the WWF, it was a nonprofit organization that had been working with the researchers and connecting with the state government, and they had been organizing workshops and presentations to increase water recharge project, but not only in this small area, but also trying to increase these water recharge projects in other areas, and to create like a water program thinking in a long-term process. So they have been involving not only the water manager, but also some farmers who are depending on the water of the same aquifers. So this has been interesting, how's the role they have been playing to connect these different people.
Thank you for that. I imagine that that's a crucial part of, success also, to have communication between various actors in this story, I'd say.
Yes, as I presented this map of words, they're the ones who are, many people say that the main absent in this group of people is Conagua. And to some degree, this example they had been successful are because there are more people involved in the process, not because they are providing money or financial support. It's mainly because they are connecting these several actors. I'm going to say that. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. I imagine also because they are making an argument that is about economics, that is then, about benefit, profit, that is relevant then for Conagua.
Yeah, it should be, but Conagua, the federal government has no presenting anything related to increase water recharge. No more like we are worried about the water recharge, but there is no any specific policy for water recharge.
Right.
Federal water policy, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Questions, comments before I keep asking?
Well, I can ask one, although I'm one of Mary-Belle's advisors, so I know the project somewhat well. Really see this as exciting because it's very cutting edge research and something that is clearly so needed. And so I think it's wonderful that someone of Mary-Belle's abilities is working on this. Mary-Belle, I wondered if you could speak a little bit more to the issue of the lack of incentives for the government at any level to invest in managed aquifer recharge, and why that is a barrier, why that lack of incentives is such a barrier for municipal governments or state governments that might be considering, trying to get one of these projects going.
The water in Mexico, the ownership of the water is the nation, the nation of the federal government, and Conagua is the one who make a decision about how the water is going to be allocated and deciding how the water right is going to be also defined. So regarding to groundwater, I'm going to use this example that I'm using every time, that is the wastewater. For example, the wastewater, the municipalities, they are in charge to manage the wastewater treatment plants. And they have the opportunity, for example, to sell this water to farmers, to sell the water to any other industry that need the water. And they can do that, but if they are doing water recharge projects, if they are recharging the water underground, they lost everything from that. They cannot have anything from the water. The water now, back to the federal government to decide who's gonna be entitled with this water. That is something that usually the municipalities say, well, why do I want to do this? Because I'm gonna lose all my money. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna lose everything because I'm gonna put this water underground. And maybe you're charging 5 million of cubic meters, and these new 5 million of cubic meters, they're gonna be used for mining or for other activities. But you are the one who are spending the money to maintain these facilities, and you are the one who are using the expertise and everything to maintain the water. And why municipalities are doing these water recharge projects? Because they are the ones who are familiar with the problems in the cities. I mentioned there is at least 33% of the population, we are not receiving water every day. So the municipality, they are facing the problem every day. So they are the ones who are thinking a little bit in the future about how much water they're gonna need to provide potable services for the municipal communities. So, but the Conagua said, no, the water, because I'm the one who gonna make a decision about how can the water could be allocated. So.
And the municipalities are concerned that Conagua may just give the water to Nestle Corporation or Coca-Cola or some other corporation,
yeah,
rather than making it available for the municipality. So there's no incentive for municipalities right now to go out on a limb and invest in this or try to make it happen.
Yeah, that's something that is happening right now. Yeah, one of the conversation and I have with people in Chihuahua, they say, we have the expertise, we have the wastewater, they need the standards that Conagua is asking us for recharge. But if I'm recharging the water, as a municipal government, I know that the farmers around the city, they need water. We want to recharge water for the farmers then. So that's something that this is not incentivize this type of water projects.
And there's no security. There's no security ahead of time about how that water would get used or allocated or concesionada. Yeah. It looks like there's a question in the chat, so I will be quiet and let you move on.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to the question. Okay, this is a question about what kinds of resources you explored to get information on the legal framework of groundwater management in Mexico. So this is somebody who's doing similar research. Actually, yeah, this is a comparative frame on water law in China. And hence it's interesting what sources are most insightful for this type of research.
Well, I have to say that I worked for several years for the Federal Congress in Mexico City. So I'm kind of really familiar how the legal framework in Mexico works. So, and I know what are the places where you can find information about that. So maybe that my bias is one of that. This is I'm familiar with. But I think my suggestion is the International Hydrological Association. I'm part of that. There is a chapter about water governance. In some cases, they have some information that has been translated to English, because that's something problematic, especially from China, trying to get information in other language, like in English. And I will suggest to check on that and ask, maybe they have people, they have scholars, they are working on water law, or they know people that have been working about water law in China. That is one of my suggestions. It's International Hydrological Association. They have a website.
Thank you. I'm giving people a minute for another question. I would love to ask one without abusing my power here as the moderator. So I'm just waiting for people to ask another question before I do. We have a few minutes left. So I would like to ask the question of how much space there is for a conversation about larger questions about prevention of environmental crisis in this context. Because the way you focus this on a legal concern, you also mentioned that this is very much part of the reality of how we need to look at water and resources. And when you answered the questions of, municipal approaches to this, where is there space for discussions about the big picture of environmental protection?
There is no really big room for that. So just recently in Mexico, then there is like an opportunity to contemplate the water needed for environmental services. But it's at least now we have, at least in the law, that is something. But usually when CONAGUA is defining how much water as present in the map, the green and the red colors, in many cases this red color, it is not, the green color, it is not including how much water is needed for environmental services. Yeah, it's something that is starting, but it's no, that is really a big conversation about that, but had been starting in some cases. Yeah.
Thank you. So I am noticing that people are beginning to leave because we are, beginning to be over time. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing your work with us, Mary-Belle, and thanks for everybody for attending, asking questions, thinking with us about this subject, and hope to see everyone soon for the next Charla also.